Hello, and welcome to the Spiritualist Circle of Light. It's a pleasure to have you. We're going to open with prayer. May God, who in the mystery of his vision and power transforms his white radiance into his many-colored creation, from whom all things come, and into whom they all return. Grant us the grace of pure vision. Now we will go into our discussion as we continue exploring the secret book of John. At times this gets confusing. The author appears to lose track of the metaphors that are being used and the placement of these metaphors, which adds to the difficulty. Just so you know, Gnosticism is not something that remains on the surface. The whole purpose of Gnosticism is exploration, the exploration of spirituality or of the religious experience, the exploration of self. There's nothing on the surface about Gnosticism. If you take it by the surface, you will miss some important nuances. You know, in our last talk, we discussed the 5 emanations or aeons from spirit. And, we discovered, or in our presentation, we discovered that there was something lacking. We don't know if this is because we're moving away from the unity of spirit, or if it's because there's something yet to explore. Having explored this, I'm going to direct you to the latter. But continuing, Barbelo looked intensely into the pure light, and she turned to it, meaning spirit. She turned to spirit and gave birth to a blessed spark of light. But he was not equal in her greatness. This is the Monogenes, who revealed himself to the Father, the divine self-born, the firstborn Son of the All, from the spirit of the pure light. So the Monogenes, which is most likely Christ, revealed himself to the Father, the divine self-born. I'm not sure about that reference point. If that reference point is to spirit, or if that reference point is to the Monogenes. But I'm not sure with that. But we're getting ahead of ourselves here as we typically do. We start from the beginning of these paragraphs here. I shouldn't say paragraph, because the paragraphs, they tend to run on and on. So what I do is I select some lines, and then we explore those lines. And in this instance, we're going to begin with Barbelo, who is the first thought, who looked into the pure light. Now, the question is, what is the pure light? We can say it was the sun, but that's on the surface, and we should go much deeper. We can say the pure light is intelligence, pure intelligence. And intelligence is the ability to acquire information and to apply information. And this is what Barbelo looked into. intensely. Intensely. This could also be the information field, which is the quantum field, which that's what we call it today, is the quantum field. But the question is light, does light lack emotion? Is it pure knowledge? Intelligence is not just knowledge. Intelligence is a blending. Intelligence is the ability to acquire information. And information is not just knowledge. Information is that. It is data, information from the environment, from the internal environment, from everything. There's a constant flow of information that takes place there. And that is what we experience. But we're not sure. We're not sure what the Gnostics were actually implying because they were stamped out centuries ago uh, when our traditional religions were stepping up to a plate. I won't say stepping up to the plate, stepping up to a plate. And as part of that stepping up, they took steps to eliminate them, eliminate the competition in a manner of speaking. Now, Barbelo stared intensely into the light, and then it says that she turned to spirit. She turned to spirit. Now, this indicates that she wasn't looking at spirit, that spirit was not the light. But it's hard to differentiate this because in the earlier readings, the earlier presentations, spirit was the light. In fact, I believe it was the fifth or the sixth presentation we did where the fount of the living water of light was spirit, was brought forth, was a desire. So, there's a lot of ambiguity here. Could this light be like a mirror? When we gaze into mirrors for scrying, we see potential futures. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if this is the fount of the living water, which we just referred to. It's difficult. It's difficult. But when she, after staring intensely into this pure light, she looked towards spirit. Now, spirit is unity. She looked to the one, seeking permission to create. And because of this, she may have comprehended what was seen, what she saw in this light. Now, light is used in a variety of writings. Hermes Trismegistus received the poimanda from a ball of light. Moses was given instructions from a ball of light. I think it was Enoch who looked upon the Ancient One and saw a ball of light. It's always this ball of light that is being referenced, but we're not sure. What we do know is that she gave birth to a spark of light. Now, the first thing that comes to mind with this is the mother giving birth to that spark of life. What if the interpretation is incorrect? What if Barbelo looked intensely into pure life, into life, and gave birth to a spark of life. It's possible. It is possible. But this spark of light is not equal to Barbelo. Barbelo is the female aspect of spirit. But spirit is both aspects. So up until now, we only have a female aspect. Although she is a reflection of spirit, which is androgynous, Barbelo is also androgynous. But from Barbelo, we get the Monogenes. And that is not androgynous. Because Monogenes is the first begotten, the firstborn son in this instance. Not the firstborn, but the firstborn son. Big difference there between firstborn and firstborn son. One identifies, the other one does not. And we can only assume that the firstborn son is male and that the firstborn is female. We can only make that assumption. Now, keep in mind, when Joseph married Mary, the mother of Jesus, she was already with child. So Jesus was the firstborn of the house, but he was not the firstborn son of Joseph, even though Joseph took him in as his own. Something to consider. There are a lot of nuances that go on here. And, we also, in some instances, we have to consider what the culture was like at the time, because religion is always a reflection of the current culture. Always a reflection of the current culture. And for the longest of time, traditional religion did not allow women to be ministers or priests or pastors for the longest of time. And now, today, that is allowed. See, religion reflects current culture it's correct, but it's not correct, because when you get into these religious institutions and such, they're slow to change with the changes going on in society. But religion is always going to be a reflection of the culture. So, in order to understand this, we have to understand the culture at the time, and we don't. We have records and such, but it's hard to put stuff together in a fashion that makes sense to some of us. It's like my interpreting this. My interpretation can be way out of line, but there's no reference point. I don't know the time. I can only look at this and I see the obvious, which is that there's a deeper hidden meaning to this. And the only way to get there is to explore. And I will probably explore this again and find something even more. But for now, this is where we are at. The Monogenes was anointed, identifying as Christ being the anointed one. A term used a lot in religious vernacular is also the idea of virgin, meaning one who has not been touched, or one who has not been exposed. So the spirit cannot be anything but virginal, because there was nothing before the spirit. Remember, there was nothing there to compare it. There was nothing there to name it. There was nothing there to divide it, to separate it. And all of these terms, spark of light, virginal, none before it, These are all terms that bring us to birth, the idea of birth, the idea of being formulated in the womb. At least this is where it takes me. This is how I am seeing this. So the virginal spirit is the invisible spirit, which is also Barbelo. Because if Barbelo is a copy, Barbelo is also the spirit. Perfect in every way, just as spirit. And Christ dwelt within spirit. Remember the book of John, the book of the Gospel of John. In the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word dwelt within spirit. Christ dwelt within spirit, meaning that Christ dwelt within spirit and Barbelo. Christ dwelt within them both. And when was brought forth, both came together. It's a way of explaining. It's a way of understanding it. Christ dwelt within spirit and emerged from spirit as Monogenes, the firstborn son. And Christ asked for mind, and mind was given. Remember the analogy of being formed within the womb? Mind being consciousness, mind being awareness. So let's try and synthesize this a little bit if we can. Now, spirit is the unifying force. It's what we believe we are returning to. And Barbelo is a reflection of that unifying force. Because outside of Gnosticism, there's nothing that defines what Barbelo could possibly be. Nothing. So we know Barbelo as the first emanation, which is abstract in substance and in nature, which is the same as religion and philosophy. So this is what this is. This is a banter of philosophical insights, and religion rests atop philosophy, because philosophy examines the experience of life, and religion provides a pathway towards that, towards what was discovered. Again, philosophically speaking. So now there are a variety of other emanations. We have thought, we have knowledge, imperishability, eternal, Christ. Christ is an emanation. Jesus in Gnostic reality, Jesus was an individual like I am. But Christ was an emanation of the Spirit. Christ was something that dwelt within. Just like Philip, me, what makes me, my personality, my thoughts, my beliefs, dwell within the body known as, identified as Philip. But I may have another name. Some people say that spirit, each of us has a true name, which is never revealed. I don't know. So everything about this, everything about the secret book of John so far has been abstract, symbolic, and only holds meaning to one person. What I am presenting here holds meaning for me. When you take this and mull it over, make connections with it, apply it, it will only have meaning to you. That's what this is. All we can do is provide you with different information, different viewpoints, different ideas, and it's up to you to do something with it. You know, as one of my teachers likes to say, take what's best and throw out the rest. That is what you do. That is your responsibility here. That's your job. So keep in mind, this is not an explanation for the physical realm. This is an explanation for the unknowable, whether we choose to call it mental, emotional, spiritual, or something else. Which means if you're confused, that's the purpose. The whole purpose of this, the whole purpose of many of these esoteric writings, many of these texts, even the Bible, is to confuse you, to force you to think, to force you to awaken, to become alive. This is the purpose of these obscure messages buried within these. So we could say that the spark that Barbelo gave birth to is insight. So our interpretation is probably severely flawed, but as I said, these are the connections I have made, and you will make other connections on your own. This is how we grow in our beliefs. So we'll continue our exploration, and I'm sure somewhere, something will draw all of this together. But for now, we shall have to continue in blindness. This is the donation portion of our service. I know I talked about confusion. So if you're thoroughly confused, let me please beg you for donations for your confusion. Reward me for your confusion. No, that's I'm just having a little bit of fun there. But yes, if you found any of this valuable, please leave some donations with us. Leave some seeds. You can donate through our website. We have donation buttons placed without. There are several on the landing page with different classes in that. And in a moment, there is a QR code. We don't know if this will work through video, but you can give it a shot. Just hit pause there, pull out your smartphone, scan it, and see what happens. I do believe you may have to have an app from PayPal, though, to utilize this. So, the brief prayer of thanks. We thank those, Father, Mother Gods, who have sought to share their abundance with us, to leave seeds with us, so that we may leave seeds with others. And we know that the fruit of these seeds will find their way back to those who planted them. We know this to be true, and we thank thee in all things. In the name of thy children, God bless. For announcements, we are asking that you please go to our website and click on the calendar button at the top. That will give you a list of events that are going on. I also serve the First Spiritual Church of Prayer. They also presently are holding services, morning services, Sunday service through Zoom. The information, log-on information is available on the landing page. You can find this at Bird and Sky, BRDNSKY.com. Birdandsky.com. There are also listings for some of our sister charters in the Independent Spiritualist Association who also have Zoom classes going on. There are links there to their respective sites where you can get the proper information for logging on. Going to close our service with prayer. With collected minds, we are at the command of the divine, that we may obtain blessedness. Amen. The opening and closing prayers are from the Svetasvatara Upanishad. Thank you for visiting with us, and thank you for allowing us to share.